The shadow of a pole 5√3 meter high is 5 meter. Find the angle of elevation of the sun. Now, just like the one we did on bearing last time, angle of elevation and depression, questions on angle of elevation or depression can be done if you can draw them. So the same principle goes here. If you can draw them, then you can solve them. Now let's see how we can draw this sample, and let's see how we can look at the drawing of this sample. Now we'll look at it sentence by sentence. The first sentence says that the shadow of a pole. Now the pole is 5√3 meter high. Now let's assume this is the pole, and this pole is on the ground. Let's assume this pole is on the ground, and let's assume here we have our sun shining high there. Now if this sun casts its shadows, its rays on this pole, definitely the shadow will go this way. So let's assume that the shadow will be formed like this, and we are told that this pole is 5√3 meters high, and the shadow is what? The shadow is 5 meters. Now the question is, how find the angle of elevation of the sun. Now if we look at the sun from here, the angle of the sun goes this way. Let me change this marker. Now if you look at the sun, the angle goes this way. So this is the angle we are asked to look for, and that angle will take that angle to be angle what? Theta, from the height of this pole. Now we are asked to look for the angle of elevation of the sun, that is theta. Now if we want to solve this, I want you to note that the solution of this goes with trigonometry. That's how we go about solving this. Now if we want to go about this, this will be the opposite of this side. This place remains the hypotenuse, the longest side. This is the opposite of this angle, and this remains the what? The adjacent. Now opposite over adjacent will give us a SOHCAHTOA. We have the sine opposite over hypotenuse. We have the cos adjacent over hypotenuse, and then the tan is opposite over adjacent. So we are looking at the opposite over adjacent. So we'll be looking at the what? The tan. The tan of theta will be equal to opposite over the what? Over the adjacent. Now the opposite, tan theta will now be equal to what? The opposite is what? 5 what? Root what? 3 divided by the adjacent is what? 5. Now if we simplify this further, this will cut this. So tan theta will now be equal to root 3 over what? 1. We are looking for the angle of elevation, which is angle what? Theta. So our theta now will now be the arctangle of root what? Root 3 over what? Over 1. Now remember the triangle I told you about, the trigonometry triangle I told you about the last time we talked about trigonometry. If you can remember that question, we have trigonometry for special triangles. Now if you look at the trigonometry for special triangle, you are going to notice that this end remains 60 degrees. This end is 60 degrees. We're not going to go far into how we derive all these. This is 30 degrees. This is 30 degrees. We're going to have here as our root 3, while here remains as 2 and 2, and this place is 1 1. Now if you want to know more about how we derive this, you can hold on or to get our channel, to get the full-blown video on trigonometry. Now if we look at that now, we are looking at the arctangle, and tang is what? Opposite over adjacent. If we look at the opposite of this place is 1, of tan 30 and the adjacent is what? Root 3. So that 1 times 30 opposite over hypotenuse to 1 over root 3, it won't enter. Now let's look at times 60. Times 60 is opposite over adjacent. Good. So that times 60, theta now will now be equal to what? If we look at that very well, our theta now will now be equal to, we say, is the arctangle of what? Root what? 3 over what? 1. So if root 3 over 1 opposite over adjacent is root 3, so our theta now will now be equal to 60 what? Degree, because 60 degrees is what will give you opposite over what? Over the adjacent. So our tan theta is equal to what? 60 degree. Now this question is a question that won't take you less than 40 seconds. So once you get that, you are going to see in whatever solution you are solving, you are going to see your angle theta as what? As 60 degree. You see, it's very easy. If you want a solution to a question like this in our video channel, we're going to continue to give you questions on each of these topics in mathematics. And as you watch each of these questions, you advance and your maturity in solving mathematics will increase. I'll leave this for now as we look forward to solving another question tomorrow.